What is up, guys? Welcome to the Let's Talk podcast. And this week, I say this week, this was supposed to be a weekly thing, but it's no longer a weekly thing, maybe a monthly thing. But today we are talking about whether we complain too much about this game. So we all know there are a lot of complaints. But do we complain too much? Just this kind of came up because the official line from ARG dropping out of running tournaments for Bandai is that there are a lot of complaints and they didn't really want to deal with it. But we'll probably move on to that later on today. So today I have two guests with me. I have a channel regular, Nathan Mills. You may know him from the What About Europe posts when he was still a top fan of the official Facebook page.
Yeah, now I just get threats.
Yeah. And also we have Ian Hinchley as well with us. He is TO of the Bristol tournaments at Excelsior Games. So very big welcome to you, Ian.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, so we're gonna dive right into it. We know there are a lot of complaints. So I think the first question we want to discuss is whether there is anything to actually complain about. And I think we'll go to Nathan first on this one.
Is there anything to complain about? The short answer is yes. But sometimes I don't think are targeted into the right areas. And it can just kind of cloud the water a lot, where there's just a lot of complaints about a lot of different things, and some of them shouldn't be a priority.
Okay, such as?
So I think the biggest priority should be to unify Europe, and make sure that the Italian and French players are caught up to where we are, and that we're all able to play together. I think that's one of the biggest problems we've got. It just feels unfair on them, and it's unfair on us because we're missing out on going to competition and possible new friends that we could meet through playing the game. I just think there should be a worldwide kind of, when a set comes out, the entire world gets it all at the same time, even if that means delaying the US by 2-3 weeks. Is what they should be doing.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was definitely not what I expected you to start off with. But I think that's a good point. In terms of worldwide release, Ian, do you think that's reasonable to expect that, or comparing to other card games? Because I know you play other card games, you play just other games in general, actually. Do you think it's a reasonable demand?
I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable the way we currently have it 2 weeks after the US, because if everyone in the UK is getting it at the same time, I don't think it matters quite so much. Plus, it's almost beneficial for UK players to see what cards and what decks may be viable before even necessarily having to spend the money.
Yeah, okay.
But then I understand, obviously, like Nathan said about, obviously, with the French and Italian, if they're that far behind, that's kind of Bandai maybe should be making sure they're treating everyone the same rather than allowing people to be set behind.
Yeah, I think it's different for the French and the Italians though, because they have their own language cards. So
which obviously is a lot harder to produce, obviously, because the Americans and English cards can be produced at the same time.
Yeah. Do you know, Nathan? Do you know what the release is like in Yu-Gi-Oh? Because they have like German cards, Italian cards.
Oh yeah, they're all at the same time. So it's worldwide release, and I believe it's worldwide release for Magic and Pokemon as well. So
I think
they're obviously
Japan get Pokemon earlier.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, Japan get Yu-Gi-Oh! 3 sets earlier as well, technically.
Really? Oh, okay, fair enough.
But I mean, kind of that the OCG and the TCG for Yu-Gi-Oh! They're completely different card games, pretty much. So I don't know if Pokemon's just. I've never played Pokemon.
Yeah. Okay. I think that is for Europe especially. I think that is something that we are looking at. I've spoken to Danilo from Card Market. I think he wants to do the same thing as well. So perhaps we are making a bit of progress in terms of catching up the French and the Italians. I do know when we were at the Games Expo, the French had the same format as us, as we did.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that was because they've been caught up a bit more, or if we've just dropped behind that much.
I believe some of the sets for the Italians and the French got skipped, and instead of getting the full sets, they got like booster packs, specially designed booster packs with like 3 sets all mixed up into one pack.
All right.
Or 3
I know
sets or something.
They had special promo packs with some of the cards printed in them.
Yeah, so I think that caught them up a fair, and then our delays of actually getting packs compared to the US. And I just want to go back to something that Ian said, because you said you don't think the 2-week delay is too bad. Is that right?
Yeah.
I disagree, but I disagree from a point of view that with that 2-week delay, I know a lot of players will just order cards from America because they don't even want to wait 2 weeks, never mind the 2 weeks and then the month delay because of strong winds. So a lot of players just end up buying from America anyway, and it just makes us look smaller than we are, because there's a really strong player base in Europe, but when the sales are still coming from the US because they get the cards a month and a half before us,
Sure.
I think it just shows Bandai that we're non-existent.
I think it's kind
And
of.
at the end,
Go on, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to finish it by saying at the end of the day, Bandai are a business, and what they care about are the sales at the end of the day. So if they're not getting sales in Europe, they're not going to support Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to agree and say that albeit I think it's poor that players aren't supporting their friendly local game stores. If that's where they go and play the game, then obviously,
100%.
it should be worth waiting the 2 weeks just to support your local shop. Otherwise, they're not going to stock it, and they're not allowed to play there. So then they're just killing it for themselves anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that to some extent. I get a lot of cards from Lewis in Singapore, but I still
He gets them from the States though.
Yeah, he gets them from the States. I still support my local game store because I'll still go in and I'll still buy like 4 special editions from them to get the four promos, and that's pretty much other players are buying that aren't ordering from the States. So, I mean, I don't want to say that I'm doing my part, but I mean, I feel like I'm doing a decent amount, and then I'm paying for my tournament every week, if it runs, etc., buying food, drink while I'm there.
Sure.
Yeah, well, when it comes to local stores, I've always been a great supporter of going to a local store, buying from your local store. But I do also realise some stores just aren't that consumer friendly. There are some stores out there who they'll do deals, they'll do pre-orders for their players, but know, there are some stores who'll just be like, it's $3.99 a pack. I don't care how many you buy.
That's what it is. Yeah, my locals, for example, they'll buy 2 boxes when a set comes out, and once that's sold out, it's sold out. They're not getting any more.
Oh wow!
But from my discussions with the people that work at the store, it's because the distributors for Dragon Ball are very difficult to work with. I don't know how true that is, but they can't communicate with them effectively, apparently.
Well, I mean, so with my local, we've never had a single problem with any stock. We constantly have the latest set in and previous sets. Every person that wanted an anniversary box got an anniversary box in our store.
That's great.
So I'm not really. I think it's almost like my opinion might be slightly kind of jaded, or not the right word, but basically because our store's that good, it kind of seems weird when other people are saying that they can't get the product in when we seem to struggle. So I'm not sure whether, like you said, maybe it's the relationship between the distributor and the shop, or. But I mean, whenever I've dealt with Asmodee and I sometimes work with Asmodee, they've always been brilliant people to work with. So it seems strange how other people don't have the same experience.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does seem to be quite patchy across the country. So doing the meta reports, sometimes when someone tells me their locals that they're not running, they also seem to be the locals which don't get consistent stock in as well. So the ones that
Yeah.
run every week, I've never had any stock issues from their store. So for example, Nottingham, they're always really great. I mean, you guys, Nathan, you guys in Liverpool, it's quite patchy there. And hearing that
Yeah.
your store gets 2 boxes in and that's it, it may contribute towards it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because people don't want to turn up and play for nothing. Because there was a point where we kind of turned up and we were told, oh, when we get the next set in, you can have packs from that. So when that starts adding up and somebody's owed 4 packs and somebody else is owed 4 packs and somebody else is owed 2 packs, that's half the box gone. And we've only got 2 boxes. Then somebody comes along and buys one of the boxes. Then you've got half a box left, and then that means 1 week's worth of tournaments, and then there's no support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ian, do you do the stock for your shop or do they do it themselves?
No, they all do it there. I mean, we have the guys who run the shop do an absolutely cracking job. Like I said, we've never had any issues. I mean, I don't know whether, because I've just kind of discussed this with Georgie, who works at our shop, and basically said about it. And I think because they do pre-order the stock very far in advance, like the Magnificent collection that comes out in October. I think they pre-ordered their stock for that a month or 2 ago because Asmodee asked for it.
Yeah. Is
they
that
pre-ordered it then.
common actually to have pre-orders so far in advance?
I mean, I think the option is there to necessarily pre-order that far in advance, but then I think some people wait till the week before Asmodee release their new releases, which comes out on a Thursday evening, which says what's come out the following week. And if at that point then people try and order stock, then they're not going to get it because obviously all the stock that people have pre-ordered prior to them are going to get it first.
Yeah. No, I mean just for games and stuff in general, because to me it seems like the pre-orders they need to be made very far in advance.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like the tournament application for Dragon Ball as well, though. So I've applied all the way up to February for all the tournaments, and if you miss that window, then you can't apply for tournaments.
Yeah.
So it's maybe they're just they're kind of hedging their own bets and basically making sure that they only produce what they definitely can be able to sell, perhaps. And if people aren't willing to pre-order that far in advance, then maybe that's why they're not producing as much stock, perhaps.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. And I think that sort of stems from the fact that this game is only 2 years old. So Bandai Card Games and Bandai Namco apparently are different companies. So yeah, they're all under the Bandai umbrella, but apparently different companies. So I think I guess it's quite a big risk for them to produce a lot more stock.
Which company handles what?
So this company that works for Dragon Ball only handles card games. So I'm assuming it's just Dragon Ball, the Naruto card game, and Battle Spirits, because that's still running in Japan.
Right, and then the other side of it runs kind of the anime side of it, the manga side of it.
I'm not sure exactly how it's structured, to be honest. But apparently the company that deals with our card game is not the main Bandai Namco company.
Oh, okay.
So they're part of the group, but they're not the company that makes the computer games as well, for example.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So that was just from Pat O'Neill's post that he put on Facebook that Ian tagged me in earlier. So that's I don't know how accurate this information is. So, but
he seemed to say that they'd actually sat down and met with some people from Bandai.
Yeah. So
I saw that. it interested me because I don't understand how they feel they'd get a decent cross section of players by talking to a very small amount of USA players.
But I mean, at least they're talking. I think this sort of moves on, segues quite nicely onto effective complaining, which is something that you spoke about before. That we're not going through the right channels, and it's just what we think isn't very effective at the moment. Because I guess our main source of complaints would be on the Facebook group, or maybe through Asmodee.
Yeah. Do you not want to hear of things that we've got to complain about first? I've got a list.
All right, yeah, go on. What's next?
Oh, it's like
I think like in terms of the European game state, I guess, with the French and the Italians, I think we're all in agreement that we should work together to play together and just have a big, massive community.
Yeah, definitely. We kind of covered the distribution where we said that it wasn't necessarily Asmodee. It was kind of more down to the individual stores, didn't we? Where if they're not pre-ordering, that's probably why they're not getting the store. Probably the last big thing which I'm coming from as a competitive player is the prize support. Where what they're offering, it's just not good enough. Kind of when you look at the price support that Card Market added on to Frankfurt, for example, that price support is decent. It's really decent. It's really good. But if you were paying £300 for flight and accommodation to get to Frankfurt, and you win with the price support that Bandai alone are offering, I'd still be out of pocket by probably £250, which I acknowledge it's my choice. It's the game that I want to play. It's my hobby, and I understand that hobbies cost money. But if you're
top 16, you should make all your money back, man.
That's you're mixing my words up a little bit there. I said that if you make top 16, you should get the average travel cost back. So that's not just me coming from the UK, from the northwest of the UK to get to Frankfurt. That's also trying to take into account the people that live a 20-minute bus ride away. So you just need to average it out and then kind of work it out, because I think probably the average travel costs to get to Frankfurt from around Europe would probably be closer to probably about £100.
So actually, one question I do want to ask in terms of competitive play. So this year we had Euros at the beginning of the year. We had the Games Expo, last month, I think?
June, yeah.
June, yeah. Then we've got Frankfurt coming up. We have Barcelona coming up, and London as well. And then in October we've got the finals. Now, that's six events held by Bandai. If we had 6 events like that every single year, would you be going to a Frankfurt?
Every year would I be going to Frankfurt? Yeah, I probably would. I'd probably do one abroad tournament a year. It's kind of what I used to do with Yu-Gi-Oh. I used to travel to a bit of a further away, larger tournament once a year. But I understand that I'm in a privileged position with the amount of money I earn and stuff like that. I know a lot of players can't do that. So it's not for everybody. Yeah. But for me personally, I would definitely travel to one a year.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, just the reason I'm asking that is it's just that, are we going to these events or trying to get to as many events as possible because this is the first time we're going to get to do it, because it's only in the second year of the game?
Yeah.
And actually, my instinct is that these large prelims aren't supposed to be regional style events. They are large prelims.
Yeah, we discussed this the other day, didn't we? Where we kind of think that Card Market's idea behind it is for it to be kind of a unique selling point, kind of like a larger venue that people travel to and play in.
Yeah.
That's kind of Card Market's outlook on it. Whereas Bandai seems to think it'd be more of a local play, maybe in Germany, maybe even smaller than that, maybe Frankfurt, and maybe an hour and a half drive in the surrounding area of Frankfurt. So when you've got the organizers and the creators kind of singing off a different hymn sheet, you're going to get mixed messages, which you're kind of seeing from Bandai support, which probably is more equivalent to an hour and a half within the Frankfurt region to Card Markets, which is attracting players from all around Europe to come and play.
Yep, and so I mean, when I spoke with the Bandai representative at the Games Expo, the first thing he said was, "These are not regionals." So I think there might be a sort of difference in outlook between all parties, actually, players included. But moving back to your point about top 16 getting the average travel cost back, Ian, do you have any take on this?
I mean, seeing as I'm not the kind of person to go to an event and necessarily top it, it's more just for me about the experience of going to these larger events, and the kind of, like, the Manchester event was great because a load of us from Bristol went, got an Airbnb to go for the weekend, and there wasn't kind of any expectation there. I can appreciate, and come from Bristol, it cost us a bit to get up there, but we wouldn't expect the money back for travelling up there if you did well. But those saying that, like, when I think Sandy looked at the metal cell that he'd got, he could sell that for way more than obviously travel cost.
Oh right, yeah.
But
he came. I mean, he came third, so.
Yeah, I think he was looking around. Well, people were trying to reason of £1,000, I think, even so. Or even on the spot, Renee offered him money for that and his Brody packs, which would have covered more than his travel costs. And that was only coming third.
I think, I mean, the reason that I asked you that is because I know, I don't want to say you're not a competitive player, but you're not someone who's out to go to an event and it's like, oh, I have to get at least top 16, otherwise I'm not very happy. In terms of, for me, in terms of the pricing structure, for me the most important part is the entry.
Absolutely.
Because everyone gets that. I mean, top 16 and onwards, those prizes are literally for a maximum of 16 people at the tournament. So, would you say that Bandai is currently offering good value for entry for the vast majority of players at their tournaments?
So I think paying £20 and getting a playmat, that'd be enough for me, let alone the additional prize Nathan provided. Especially kind of the exclusive mats that that you couldn't get anywhere else. I know that I've mentioned this before. Nathan kind of said that you only need one mat, and I agree with you saying with that. But I think also it's almost a souvenir of your experience and your time at the event.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, because it's weird because like when they did the BCC Open, like the store ones, you got 11 promos just for turning up, and I thought that was amazing. But I feel like with the prelims this time round, they have slightly gone down in participation, which is purely one champ pack and one event pack. So I feel like they've kind of missed it on this time round at the store level events.
Okay, yeah. And Nathan, you were going to say something, right, before?
So, kind of, I was going to ask the question of, do you think that the participation is that worth it? But you covered that. But kind of going back to what you said about Sandy getting quite a lot for finishing third, he did. But then when you take one step further back and look at what Dav got for finishing fourth, it didn't cover his travel costs to get to Manchester from Hull, which is a lot less distance than Bristol is to Manchester.
Sure.
So, I mean, and then I finished in the top
He had
eight.
a free ticket though.
He did have a free ticket. But then, like, I think I probably got about 50, £60 more for finishing top eight. And I travelled from Liverpool, so it was £10 in petrol and a couple of quid in parking. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine what the people that travelled from mainland Europe, if they did well. Who did well?
Remco got top 16. He
Yeah.
came from the Netherlands. Dionysus got top 16. I think he came from Greece.
Yeah.
Kai came from, I want to say Belgium.
Yeah. So they must have
Casper.
spent hundreds of euros to fly over, and I mean the experience, it was great. I really enjoyed my time there. I think the event itself was run really well.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to remember it as probably the best event I've ever attended in terms of the way it was run.
Yeah, that was very good.
And I've really enjoyed it. But at the same time, kind of from the monetary value side of things, for those guys, I felt bad for them because they've spent hundreds, like I said, and it's just they've done really well at a tournament. They finished top 16 out of 200 plus players, and they've got nothing in return.
It's that Gogeta match. The Gogeta match pretty rare.
Yeah,
Maybe
then they give them out to the judges.
Yeah.
But maybe they don't need. Maybe for them that was enough to go into the event and come in top places. Maybe they didn't. For them, they don't need kind of any monetary kind of prizing out of it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't want to speak for them because obviously I don't know their opinions on it at the end of the day. But yeah.
But then I guess like, as I said, they're not a particularly necessarily competitive player, so maybe my opinion obviously is quite different to Nathan's because you're more likely to go to these events and do well, and then are going to get the higher pricing.
Yeah, I think we are. If that's kind of your standpoint on it, we are looking at it from two different perspectives. So, yeah.
That's why I asked the two of you on here.
Yeah.
But actually, when we talk about pricing, Euros pricing, I don't think anyone was upset with Euros pricing. Even for top 16, yes, you, as you mentioned, your top 8 prizes and Dav's 4th place prizes, they paled in comparison to what Sandy, Casper, and Augusta got.
Yeah.
But I think generally everyone was pretty happy with what was on offer at Euros.
Yeah. Like I said, I was happy with it because I was spending £10-15 travelling there.
Yeah.
But if I spent hundreds of euros getting over from Belgium or Denmark or wherever you said, the experience was good. So I suppose you can take that away from it.
Although,
sorry.
I'll say it was interesting when you think about it, though, the fact that was the company Tournament Centre that run it, was it?
Yeah.
So are they basically acting in the similar kind of vein to what PPG is to America?
I think PPG did a lot more. I think in a sense what PPG did is what Card Market is trying to do with Frankfurt and Barcelona. So they're adding additional pricing on top as well.
Yeah, because obviously there was, as far as we could tell, it is only what Bandai provided.
Yes,
Yeah.
so for Euros it was only what Bandai provided, and that's the same for the London prelims as well. The large London prelims, which is in August.
On the 28th.
Yeah, that one's also run by
September.
Tournament Centre.
Yes, that's interesting.
So yeah, I mean, going to that you're not gonna get as many prices as if you went to Barcelona, and also it's Barcelona. Venue's next to a beach apparently, so
I mean, Ali Pali's quite nice, to be fair.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, yeah. So in terms of pricing, there are sort of different outlooks. I mean, for Ian, do you think Nathan's suggestion of having top 16 recuperate the average travel costs, do you think that's reasonable?
I think, yeah, if it was a large scale event and thinking that tournament centre, well, I mean, I can't imagine the venue must have cost a great deal to hire. I don't know whether were the judges paid for their time or were they just paid in packs and mats. And so whether did Tournament Centre actually get quite a big plus out of them as a company for that event, or was it literally? It's in my mind. So like, all our local does quite a lot of time. A good amount of the money paid for entry is then put back into prizing.
I know
So what I'm trying to say
Bandai.
is,
I know Bandai give them a budget for it, and I assume Bandai would pay them extra on top to actually run the tournament. So they'll be contracted to run the tournament, and then Bandai give them a figure, say this is how much you can spend.
okay. But I mean, so yeah, I mean, I feel I like Nathan's point that the idea is that you get back your average travel. I think that's reasonable, assuming that if 250 people turned up and each paid £20, that's quite a lot of money. And obviously all the prizing would have been supplied by Bandai at, I'd imagine, free as they do for a lot of the like store-based events, and obviously it cost them next to nothing to produce all that stuff. So that's quite a lot of money that would have been put into the event and not necessarily put back out to the players, which I wouldn't necessarily agree with, because that's like £5,000.
Yeah, it's 5,000 for 250 people paying £20.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also it's good I mean, Tournament Centre, that's then making them a more well-known company and potentially could help them in the future. So I think from that, a bit more like Card Market's doing.
But I mean, Tournament Centre, they do all the Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Already, don't they?
Oh, okay. Oh, so they didn't really even need to get their name out there.
Yeah, I think they do that already across Europe. So they're actually probably one of the premier tournament organisers in Europe for card games. But yeah, so different outlooks to pricing.
They're the ones for mainly for the UK, if I'm correct, and then mainland Europe has got a couple of different ones. Is that right? So Tournament Centre is mainly a UK based one.
They're based in Belgium, though.
They are based in Belgium, but I believe that they run Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon in the UK mainly.
Okay.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Because obviously each country is going to have different like gambling laws and etc. etc. The idea is that each country's got their own large scale company that organises events that kind of know the nuances of what they're allowed to give away and what they're not. So there's companies that work in certain areas and they're experts on what can happen in the UK at these kind of events. So they're the ones that run the UK events.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, just to sort of summarise the point, there are two different standpoints from looking at pricing, the competitive standpoint and the call it not so competitive standpoint. Don't want to call it the casual standpoint. It's not really casual, is it? But yeah, I think it's generally accepted that top 16 pricing should be bumped up a bit, and hopefully Bandai will do that in the future. Actually, just looking back on what we've complained about before and what Bandai have managed to pull out since Euros, just looking back, it's been encouraging, because we after Euros we all really enjoyed it. We wanted more tournaments, and they announced the Games Expo, which was a last minute thing, and then people wanted European tournaments. We got Frankfurt. We're having Barcelona, and then we've got finals in the very well-known large city of Tottington.
Seems like an odd choice.
This may be changed, but we don't know yet. But I mean, this is all within the space of 6 months. We're getting all of this, so
Yeah.
I actually.
But would we have got a complaint?
I don't know. I feel like these things take quite some time to plan, and at the Games Expo, they already had the 3 large prelims and the finals planned. They were on the books already, so I don't know. It's difficult to say how much planning to do in advance, but at least from June, they had 4 events up till October. So
Because also UK Games was announced very late as well, wasn't it?
yeah, that was a last minute thing because I think was it Pokemon or something pulled out.
Okay.
Yeah, someone pulled out of the hall, and then Asmodee were at the Games Expo already, and I think Bandai. Yeah, I don't know if it was Asmodee approaching Bandai or something, but basically someone pulled out, and then they got Dragon Ball in. So the Games Expo is a bonus, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
And
I thought it was a really positive thing, though, the fact that it's our version of Gen Con and we had a Dragon Ball event there. I thought it was a very positive thing.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't actually, even with the lack of rounds, I didn't get to go to the Games Expo, actually.
Oh, you should. It's definitely worth attending.
Yeah, maybe next time. But yeah, what's next on your list, Nathan?
They're the 3 main things, really. Distribution, involving Italy and France, and prize support.
Okay. So, all right then. So, in terms of complaints, do you think we're complaining too much? So, going back to what I said at the beginning with ARG, so the official line that they've given for dropping out of Dragon Ball is that they didn't want to deal with all the complaints that they were receiving, Bandai were receiving.
But it has nothing to do with their new TCG.
This is the official line they have given.
Interestingly, as well, they also just dropped ARG Europe just dropped Yu-Gi-Oh as well. So.
Oh, okay.
That was literally announced a couple of hours ago. I don't know if you've seen it, but they've just dropped Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right. Okay. Right. So I mean, maybe it's not the real reason then, but there are. Oh, sorry.
Does she have an opinion on Dragon Ball?
Yeah, I don't think she likes it. Well, where was I? So, in terms of complaints, we often, in terms of prizes, we look to the American complaints about their nationals and how after they complained en masse, they received really, really good support.
After the large-scale complaints.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the question is, are we complaining too much? Because I know quite a few people who just don't like seeing Nathan. They don't like seeing your posts on every single.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah. So in a sense, maybe that's complaining too much. But actually, are we complaining enough en masse?
I think it could be a cultural thing. Where we're British, we've got a stiff upper lip. We can get through. We get through rationing. We can get through bad Dragon Ball prize sport.
I'm not sure if anyone would agree with rationing and Dragon Ball prize sport.
No, I don't think it was a fair comparison. But you know what I mean. We're British. We don't like to complain. But the Americans are much more, brass.
Vocal.
They're like that.
But do you not think that part of the reason that it improved in America was because of the likes of PPG getting into the scene, who, you know, put so much work in, and like a lot of the events are run by them, and then they've got cash prize and stuff there as well, which is, I would have thought, probably linked to their involvement as well.
Probably, yeah, because when events get good prize pot with cash prizing and stuff like that, it attracts more people to play. Because if you're sat there and you're playing Vanguard, for example, and you see somebody playing Dragon Ball next to you, and you kind of go, "Oh, that looks fun. What kind of support do you get for playing it?" And you're getting a quarter of what they're getting for playing Vanguard. They think they're going to have equally the amount of fun. What's gonna make them hop over to another game when they can just carry on playing Vanguard? It's stuff like that.
Because Vanguard takes no skill.
I've never played. I don't know. So it's just like I know. So you can't. Sorry.
So what was it like in Yu-Gi-Oh? What the kind of support did they kind of get?
I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in years. The prize support was always decent. So I know Yu-Gi-Oh had a lot of regionals, and at the regionals, all the top 8 got a playmat and a deck box. And then most of the stores that were holding the regionals gave extra prize support themselves. They just added on a bit more entry money. So, like for example, the entire of top 8 got a box each, and instead of it being the usual £10 entry, they charged £17.50, and that extra £7.50 per player paid for a box for each of the top 8. And that got regionals of upwards of 100 players sometimes. So
wow,
yeah, it attracts the players.
Well, that's interesting as well, though, because a lot of FFG games have massive player bases, but to my knowledge, they don't never do any cash prizing.
Yeah.
What's the word? Keyforge is just massive.
Keyforge is blowing up at the moment, yeah.
X-Wing still gets huge tournaments.
Yeah.
And that's just, then they kind of just get a lot of alt arts and kind of, you know, nice dice and stuff like that. That seems to be enough for those guys.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be difficult for Dragon Ball to compete in terms of pricing with the big 3. But
Magic's unreal as well.
Yeah, Magic's just crazy. But I think what some players are looking at is that they're looking at Final Fantasy and how their prizes are really good. And then they're looking at Dragon Ball. It's like, yeah, this is clearly the superior game, but the pricing is shocking in comparison, because the Square Enix give amazing prizes, and they always they seem to always go above and beyond to give something good for the players.
Yeah, because in my mind, Magic the Gathering's like the biggest, bestest card game in the world, isn't it? Like, that's what people think. And you look at the way that they organize events and tournaments, and kind of that's the standard, isn't it? That's, in my mind, that's what everybody should be one day aiming for. And I think Pokemon, correct me if I'm wrong, recently took the opportunity to start giving out cash prizes, and then Pokemon's kind of gone up to closer to the Magic level because of the cash prizing. Do you know more about Pokemon than me, Ian?
I don't, I'm afraid.
Oh,
I know
okay.
that
You mentioned
they do
Pokemon.
have some large-scale events, but
with cash prizes, is that right?
I don't know about cash prizing.
Right. Okay.
But...
my belief, I believe that Pokemon recently got cash prizing in the past 2 years, and then they just got a larger competitive scene on the back of the cash prizing. So they've upped their game to the level that Magic's at. Obviously, nothing's ever going to reach the level of Magic, because it's like a juggernaut, isn't it? It's just going to keep going. There's no stopping Magic. But that's kind of, every card game should be aiming to to beat Magic, really. At the end of the
Yeah,
day.
I understand your point. I don't think that will ever happen with Dragon Ball, though, because Pokemon
No,
and
no.
Magic are both run by US companies, which is why, and I think Japanese companies just tend to not want to offer cash prizes in general.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh never did.
Yeah.
It was strictly against the rules in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like it was written into the rules, no cash prizes.
Yeah, so
Interestingly, I just googled Pokemon World Championships. First place gets 25 grand.
imagine that. That will pay
Yeah,
for your
all
travel.
all the way down to top 32, and the 17th to 32nd get 1,500 still.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that pays for your whole trip, doesn't it? So yeah, but again, this game's 2 years old in the States.
Yeah.
Over here, it's what, a year and a half. If
Yeah.
that, so
Like, I'm not saying it's going to turn into Magic overnight, but perhaps if it's still around in 10, 15 years' time, why shouldn't it be as big as Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Final Fantasy?
yeah, no, that is true. But I think at the moment, would you say we should be complaining or encouraging Bandai? I guess you could say complaining is encouraging them. But we never,
I think
we never see people say well done Bandai except for sarcastically.
if they showed that positive reinforcement works with them, then people will be more likely to do it. But what they've shown works for them from the US is if enough people complain, they're willing to change. But what they've not shown is if enough people go, wow, that was good, they'll up that, because if enough people think it's good, why would they up it? Because it's at a level where people think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the point of changing it?
Yeah, Ian?
Yeah, that's very fair. No, and yeah, I think that's a very fair comment. I mean, I think it's promising the fact that they were happy to meet with you at UKG and discuss things as well shows that they do want to learn and they do want to try and improve things.
Yeah, saying that, I've emailed him about Tossington and he hasn't responded. So
okay, so that's not quite so good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you'd almost want either a single point of contact or even like a committee that would then be the main point of contact for Bandai, rather than people complaining individually, to be able to then say this is what the community is feeling, and I think that probably work better for them as well if they were willing to do something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I mean, on Pat O'Neill's post, he mentioned something about a community manager, and that's been brought up many times around Facebook. And I've basically just gone to them saying, I said to the guy, look, anything that you want me to say to the players, I'll do it. So I've basically offered to do it for free, and they seem to, they just don't want to do it for whatever reason. But hopefully, companies like Card Market has been very good. Dino has been very good with communicating with me, and
really
just
good guy.
and the community in general. And it does. Hopefully, they do have a bit more sway with Bandai, and we can get things done that way.
You almost need that relationship, like quite clearly that George Mercado seems to have with Bandai and like Dusty O'Brien, where apparently they're going out for dinner and stuff together. You kind of need that in Europe as well.
Yeah, we definitely do. Yeah.
And I know that like some people in Europe like have tried to contact Bandai and tried to kind of start that, but it's just doesn't seem to be going anywhere at the moment.
Yeah, no, maybe I should email him and just be like, yeah, how was your week?
You'll probably watch this video.
I doubt
Ask him
it.
now.
I doubt it.
Well, I mean, you probably, well, it won't be, they might. I mean, yours is probably one of the biggest podcasts for them to find out what people are feeling, and they'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, no, possibly. I mean, there's probably, at this point in this time in the recording, there's probably about 3 people here. So, drop a comment if you're
One of
here.
them's probably my mum. Oh, it worked well last time when we got him to say Miley Cyrus, didn't it? Like hashtag Miley. Why do you get a new
Hashtag Miley
hashtag in?
Cyrus. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have another hashtag. Um, hashtag Bandai. I don't know. Yeah, and then maybe they'll pick that up on social media as well. So that'll help.
Maybe. Yeah.
But okay, yeah, I think we've covered most things. Do either of you guys have anything to add?
No, don't think so.
No, I think I've covered most things.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So, I mean, there's been a lot of agreement in this podcast, and that's very good to hear, because oftentimes in the comments section on the internet, things do get a bit dicey sometimes. It's good to see. I think it's good to have a chat with people from various sides of the game, and just sort of talking out and finding the common ground and moving forward as one community.
Yeah, that'd be a good title for your video. The common ground.
The common ground. Yeah. Maybe I'll do that. So I'm gonna need to go now. I am being called away. Thank you very much, Nathan and Ian. As always,
No
guys.
Thanks for having us.
As always, if you guys have any comments, leave it in the comments. Any questions, leave it in the comments. And leave a like on this video as well. And I will see you guys next time.